He's fine. He's fine.
He's fine?
Oh. This guy's gonna be very helpful, I think.
I love that they keep his identity a mystery.
Yeah.
Easy now. We're not sick.
Always trust the military.
Oh boy. Not a good sign when he checks in with the boss.
Yeah, not when he puts their life in his own
Sleep
hands.
first. Don't go back for him, okay?
Girl, get down. Girl, crawl.
They took out him saying, but there's a little girl.
Oh.
And I thought, I wish they kept that in.
Yes, sir.
Oh boy.
It doesn't say.
Too many yes sirs.
Yes, sir.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
too
that
many.
last one.
That last one was like, oh shit.
Oh boy.
We're not sick.
We're not sick.
Sir. We are not sick!
What's the Nicole Kidman movie with her kids? That's what he just lined. It was the same exact line.
Oh boy.
Get up, Joel. Joel, get up.
Get up.
I'm sorry.
Pedro, you don't have to do this.
Please, don't.
Ooh.
Damn, late. Oh, look how
It's poetry.
beautiful he
looks
is.
good old. I like them aged up.
I like him a little tease.
Oh boy. Not this time. Not this time, soldier.
He's my daughter.
That ain't gonna stop this.
Tess, you could try. Maybe he's
No, no. Down with the Fedra.
Get the popcorn.
He went Fight Club on him.
No, no.
Uh-oh.
No, no. Tess, Tess.
Joe! Joe! Right now, Joel's like, I saved the wrong kid.
Yeah. I'm gonna punch you in the face now.
Oh, his buddy. At
least
least he
he
got a gun. I love to see this.
least he got a gun.
I hate in movies when they leave a gun behind. Gotta grab a gun.
No, well, this is a video game first.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
they're
yeah,
gonna grab
dog.
those weapons.
Gotta add it to the inventory.
Yeah. Do they have? Does he have a medical kit? Some bullets?
Yeah,
What
he's
are we
gotta get
working with?
everything. Oh, lovely.
Lovely.
Gal. Lovely show, HBO Max. Welcome back to New Rock Stars. The Last of Us is finally here, and for the next 9 weeks, the break room is diving deep into all of the lingering questions you guys have about it. So start rationing med kits and grab an improvised question because this is the break room, our daily show that keeps you updated on all the nerdy news that you need to know about. We want to thank NordVPN for sponsoring the break room today. More on them in a minute. I'm Jessica Clemens, and with me today is Brandon frickin' Barrick.
Oh, I'm just happy to be alive in these trying times. Hey, if you see a house full of old people freaking out, don't go inside of it.
Don't go inside of it. Stay where you are. And also with me, Anna Van Stam.
Oh, what are you buying? What are you sell? Oh, wrong game. Wrong game. Sorry.
Wrong game.
Last
Wrong
of Us,
game.
I'm ready.
Wrong game. Well, here's how this show is gonna work, folks. The first part of the episode will always be spoiler-free. In terms of the game, we assume you have watched the show now at this point, the first episode of the show. We won't talk about any spoilers from the game. If we ever do that, it'll be at the very end, and we'll warn you ahead of time so you can watch the show safely. We do recommend, if you haven't played the games, maybe avoid reading the comments. If you're in the comments, be nice. Don't give it spoilers away in the comments. If you're in the chat, don't be spoiling people. But if you've never played the game, maybe just be wary. Be careful out there, okay? There's lots of people out there. There's marauders. There's slavers. There's cannibals. You gotta be careful. We don't know who's in the chat, folks. Just be careful out there.
Probably cannibals. That's our main
Definitely
New Rock
cannibals in
Stars
the chat.
audience, yeah.
Bony Horse is in the chat if you're a cannibal. So let's get into this episode and kind of recap it real quick, remind you all what happened. This episode opens with a juxtaposition of our world that we're living in now, right? A roundtable discussion with 2 epidemiologists. One with the fear of viral infections. We know how those go in our society. The other one, though, has a fear of fungal infections, which he turns out to be very right about those fears.
I will say, I liked how in this one, they added in, like, it's already really relatable with the pandemic, obviously, but then they threw in the whole thing about global warming playing into the mutation. And I was like, oh, very smart.
But they're like, oh, that could never happen unless the
Unless-
earth warms up.
Unless it gets hotter. As soon as he said that, I was like, oh, you guys are smoking indoors. You guys are smoking
true.
cigarettes.
That's
This
true.
is not the time period to be preaching.
So we jump ahead 35 years from that interview to 2003. We are introduced to Sarah, Joel's 12-year-old daughter. She wears her same tour T-shirt from the fictional band Hallican Drops. Hallican Drops?
You don't know Hallican Drops?
I don't know.
Oh, wow.
I listen to Pelican Drops more.
She wears the same
Imagine.
shirt in the game, so folks, if you're a gamer, they're listening to you. We meet Joel, a 36-year-old construction worker, and his brother Tommy, a veteran from the Gulf War. Did anyone, when Pedro Pascal said he was 36, context
yes,
rewind it
yes.
to be like, wait, did he say 36?
Yes, I did. Because I was like, no. I was like, Joel is not 36 at the beginning of this movie.
Right, because if you've played the game, you know they jump ahead 20 years, so it's like, well, he's going to be 56.
56?
He's 52 in real life, so he's playing older for this.
Yes.
You know?
And I think he looks good old.
Not a wrinkle on that
Not a
man's
wrinkle on that face.
What a baby face.
Pedro Pascal is so good, but when he said I'm 36, I said, boy.
boy.
You lying.
They all live in Austin, Texas, and they're happy. It's Joel's birthday. Happy birthday, Joel. Your daughter's going to die. After school, Sarah visits her religious neighbor, Connie, and her parents, her elderly mother, and their dog, aptly named Mercy. They have this cute little dog. Save the dog at all times. Connie's mother has been infected by the fungus at this point, something Mercy is cleanly aware of. It's a good thing to know that dogs can detect this infection. There are dogs in our world that are trained to detect, like if someone's gonna have a seizure, they can sense it ahead of time. Dogs are very smart. They pick up on things.
What about cats?
Cats are trying to kill us. If you die, a cat will eat you within 30 minutes.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Did anyone else freak out? The scariest thing for me in this show was when the elderly woman was moving in the background.
It was so good.
Oh, that was so creepy.
It was the most. I thought about you immediately when this scene happened because I was like, "Oh, this is a horror show."
That's a
and Brandon
horror movie
hates
trope,
horror.
yes.
And it
Loved
was
it.
so
Yeah.
good. I'm so excited for my mom to watch this. She's
Yeah.
gonna eat
I
it up.
love that, and the tentacles coming out of her mouth was so much more like gory and creepy than
so
I thought it was going to
creepy.
be.
They did really good with the fungi.
So creepy. Well, before Grandma eats the family, Sarah leaves the house. She takes home a DVD copy of Curtis and Viper 2, a nod to a moment from Last of Us Part 2. And she gives Joel a watch that she had repaired without his knowledge, took it out of his drawer, got it fixed,
Stole
and
his
gave
money.
it to him. Stole his money, too,
money.
paid with it, but didn't steal all of his money. She's a good girl. As Sarah falls asleep on the couch, Joel has to run off to bail Tommy out of jail again, but he was fighting some infected. We can kind of piece together. Things are slowly falling apart in the world. Suddenly it's 2 a.m. and Sarah wakes up to the sound of explosions. I love the green flash that you get when like Transformers explode, but very mysterious here. Like, what is that greenness? After wandering over to the Adler's house, again, why would you go inside that effing house?
She's a dummy.
Even the dog doesn't want to go in. She's attacked by the grandmother who has turned. Joel and Tommy arrive in time to kill the infected and take off. Love beating an old lady with a pipe. As they drive away, we get a sequence that's pulled almost exactly from the game with several long takes and lines of dialogue that match with gameplay. Tommy is separated from Joel and Sarah, who run into a member of the military. This military member that was actually a cameo by series showrunner Craig Mazin. Slipped himself in there. Does he get double paid for that? I don't know.
Absolutely not. he begged to get in it.
He begged. The soldier has orders to kill Joel and Sarah and opens fire before Tommy shoots him in the head. Sarah, unfortunately, suffers a gunshot wound and dies. This was brutal. That was like so awful. It was brutal if you played the game. It was brutal
and you're,
here.
like, expecting it.
Watching a young girl just like die is
I will say,
and that moment when it kind of pans away and Tommy has to be like Joel
It's
and
not
like
there.
back and she's gone.
And she's
Like,
already dead. They were like, ooh, we can't show like her actually dying, so we're just gonna zoom away and then she's gonna. But secondly, I was like, it hit harder in the video game for me than it did in the show.
Yeah,
and
it's
I don't
very
know if
unexpected.
it's because it was so quick.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, maybe it was the time that it took me to actually do the game where I was like, this took me forever. But like in the show, I was like, oh yeah, I guess she's like doing dumb things.
Oh, I kind of had the opposite. For some reason, the show affected me more than the game, and I gotta give props to the actress because like that dying was incredible. Like I thought she did a
Being
really
so
good
scared
job
and,
with
like,
it.
hurt. It's just him
Screaming when he
crying
touches her.
like he knows
oh
it
my
hurts.
god!
I mean, yeah, I think it's just surprising all around whether you played the game or not, because you're not used to them killing a young child, especially the child of your protagonist like so early. It was very shocking, especially if you had played the game. You knew that the game was about a man and a girl. If you'd seen the trailer, you're like, oh, I assume this is the girl. It's not
Right.
the girl.
It's not the girl.
Hey.
That's not the good.
Oh, we jump ahead 20 years later, and Fedra, a fascist militia group born from the ashes of the United States military, has set a perimeter zone around Boston called the QZ, or Quarantine Zone. Adorable.
Several quarantine zones around the country.
Yeah, they're kind of spread out. Fedra is like loosely in control, but is there ever control? I don't know. We see a young boy shamble his way to the exterior and is questioned by Fedra agents. His red shirt, likely an homage to the young girl in Schindler's List. They also kind of focus on the shoes, so you see the shoes later. After he tests positive for the infection, he is euthanized and sent to a mass grave. If anyone ever tells you you get all the toys you ever
Wait,
want.
was he tested positive?
Yeah.
I thought it was green.
No, it was red.
Was it green?
It was red.
I straight up thought it was green, and I was
Oh,
like,
they killed him anyway?
where did they kill this kid? I thought they were just killing people because
the
they couldn't
food.
let that many people in. And
Yeah.
you know, it's the
liked
military
tough
now.
stuff.
And I liked that moment. That's a moment that's
Right.
not in the game.
Yeah.
I felt it was really effective, and it showed like how kind of ruthless this is. But
Well-
yet they did treat it with care. They humanized
Yeah.
Fedra a little bit in that moment, kind of.
She's
Both
the
sides.
nicest person to euthanize a
Yeah,
child?
yeah. It's
Yeah, because she
both
doesn't have to
ways,
burn the
bittersweet.
body.
The woman who can't do it, and then later in the scene, we see people getting like executed in the street, being hung. So we know this society doesn't play around.
Right.
They're taking it seriously.
Regressed.
We catch up with our good friend Joel, who does odd jobs around town, cleaning sewers, burning bodies, yada yada yada, and he sells drugs on the black market to make money. He's a cool guy. Next, we meet Tess, played by Anna Torv. You might know her from Fringe or Mindhunter. She's gotten her ass kicked by Robert's guys after getting ripped off trying to buy a car battery. But she gets away thanks to an explosion caused by the fireflies. They also leave these fun little messages around town. Follow the light, yada, yada, yada. They're a resistance group, often referred to as terrorists. They blow up a Humvee, and that gives Tess an escape. Very, very convenient. This was very video gamey to me, like such a convenient moment. Like, oh, this is the perfect time to get away.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ellie, moonlighting as Veronica, we meet her. She's chained and interrogated by Firefly members after they found her infected by the fungus and still alive a few weeks later. Can't take her. She's a feisty one, too. She's a fighter.
The Veronica name change I didn't see coming.
Yeah,
That started out of nowhere.
I'm wondering how that might come into play later.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Feels like a setup.
We'll put a pin in that. Joel visits one of the only people in the QZ with access to a radio tower as he awaits a message from his brother Tommy. This is a great sequence too that shows like how people in the town know him, they're afraid of him. People who don't know him are like, hey buddy, you can't cut the line. Other people are like, you better shut the fuck up. This guy will eat you. He's so tough. I love old Pedro Pascal.
I thought you were going to say
tough.
old people. I love
love
old
old
I
people.
was say old patriots.
I love old patriots. Stand up for your country. So he's waiting for this message from his brother Tommy, and usually Tommy gets back within a day, but now it's been 3 weeks. Joel is like, I gotta go get him. Tell me where it is. He gets directions to the tower where Tommy has been sending off messages from Wyoming. Remember, he's all the way in Massachusetts. It's a long trek if you don't have a car, or even if you do have a car and the world's falling apart. And we hear there's marauders, there's slavers, there's cannibals out there. It's wild out there. We learn that Tess and Joel are together. They share a bed.
They made it kind of. It's a lot more steamy in the show than it was
much
in the
steamier
game.
than the game. They're looking for a car battery so they can get out of town and go get Tommy. After finding Robert dead from a shootout with the Fireflies, they strike up a deal with Marlene, played by Merle Dandridge. This is the only actor from the original game reprising their role. She's the leader of the Firefly section in Boston, and they're not doing so great. She wants to smuggle Ellie out of the city, and they'll get their car battery plus guns, supplies, and fuels if Joel and Tess agree to help, because this girl could be the key. But she doesn't tell them that at the jump. Ellie finds Joel's book of #1 music hits in a sequence that reminded me so much of video games, like exploring a room and picking stuff up. She very quickly deduces it's a cipher for songs played on the radio. 60s music is no news. 70s music, new stock. And she determines that 80s music has an X, but she figures out that means trouble. That means trouble. Great exposition.
Right here in River City.
Right here in River City.
With a capital D.
Stop! Don't start! Don't start with Brandon.
We can go all day.
Joel, Ellie, and Tess take off for the boundary of the QZ. As they make their way out, they run into the same soldier Joel sold pills to. Gotta keep the bag. It's got dust on it, baby. He checks them for the fungus. Ellie stabs him in the leg, knowing she'll be found out as infected. Joel flashes back to the moment his daughter is killed and takes out the Federal soldier to protect himself, Ellie, and Tess. Him and Tess learn that Ellie is seemingly immune from the infection as they take off toward the State House and leave the QZ behind. The episode ends with the radio in Joel's apartment clicking back to life and playing Depeche Mode's Never Let Me Down Again. An 80s song. Tommy is in trouble.
What if it's 79?
1979. Oh, that's tough.
It was like 87 or 9? 80.
You bring up a good
It's
point,
late
though.
80s.
If you pick a song that was like recorded in 79 and released in
I'm
80.
sure these grown adults that are working the radio
I don't
station
know.
are doing it,
I don't
not
know.
me who's guessing.
I don't know. So that's our
We're
recap.
so young.
Ooh, so young. That's our recap of the episode. Really great, really awesome. I think my first biggest question after the episode ended is, what have Joel and Tommy been up to? Because without getting into spoilers from the game, the show is implying that Joel and Tommy have been keeping in communication fairly regularly fairly regularly. And this is much more different than the game when it's implied that they don't talk as much and they haven't talked for a while. The device of the songs on the radio is like a whole new thing that was not in the game. So what do you think they've been up to communicating so much? Where like Tommy's replying within like a day of like Joel reaching out to him. Like, what do you think they're doing out there? What's all this communication about?
Well, there's now Bill and Frank tied into this because that's when she pulls up the journal. She's like, who's Bill and Frank? It has the B and the F on it. So they're introducing these characters right off the bat from episode 1. I think I know from interviews that they're going to focus on Bill's storyline a lot more as well. Druckmann said that. So I'm excited to delve into that, see how also they're involved. Originally in the game, it was Bill who helps them with the car battery and getting a car and whatnot. But it seems like now they might also potentially have maybe some involvement with Tommy as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know because that's a good point. Like in the game, this whole MacGuffin with the car battery, that was like weapons.
Yeah, it used to be that they sold him weapons and were trying to get them back. So I'm like,
right. So like, was Tommy? Do you think like Tommy and Joel could have been planning like to move or something, or like?
I think they're just constantly still looking for resources because that's why they're going.
Or like a
outside
place
the
to go,
perimeter.
like a better place
so
to be.
I think they're constantly, and I mean it's only getting worse inside. They're hanging people for lower and lower cases.
Right, for just like sneaking out.
I think they're just
hung.
constantly like, I think that part can still tie to the games where Tommy is genuinely like, you deal with too much and I need to leave. Like you haven't figured out how to get away from your daughter's death and it's been over 20 years.
Oh, okay.
So I think that situation is like Tommy being able to leave and Joel being like, no, I'm staying here.
Yeah, because it's implied that Joel is has a drinking problem maybe, or is like turning to
doing drugs at least.
Doing drugs. He's keeping the bag that he sells the pills in, and that's to go like.
Every drug dealer knows you lick the bag after you give him the drugs.
Like me after a good peanut butter and jelly.
Oh yeah, you just put that on the side. And yeah, we see him like kind of planning to go save Tommy, but also like I'm gonna get schnockered and like pass out. Basically, he has not dealt with this, and yeah, that's a good point. Maybe. We see him blame Marlene for Tommy leaving because like Tommy kind of got sucked into the Fireflies and then like was angry with them, and so he was like, I'm out of here. But really, that's a good point. Like Tommy probably left because of Joel. Like he was tired of seeing Joel just like kill himself slowly.
And even before all of the nonsense popped off, all the nonsense, Joel was constantly like, I always have to take care of you. I always have to be there. And Tommy's like,
right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I went to prison. I need you to help me get out. So he's probably like, you always hated me. Why don't I just go do it myself? I would also, there was still a map in the first episode that was like, there's still a map that said that they were going to Wyoming. Or was it like that's where Tommy is?
He asked the radio guy.
Show me where
this tower is.
Yeah. Oh, it's where the tower. Okay, so if they're in Texas to Wyoming, is a lot.
Now they're in Boston. They're in Massachusetts.
Okay. Either way, still pretty
far. It's a long trip.
So if that communication is like, we have Bill here, we have so and so here, and then we have Tommy.
Yeah.
They know where the enemies could be, the survival people.
Well, they know they know some safe spaces or safe enough spaces, but you got to assume everything else is bad. Also, the size of that map he's using for him to like kind of, even if you make a tiny little circle, that's like hundreds of miles probably, because it's the whole United States. It's not a big map. I know, but even like once you get to that area, you got to find that tower still. Like it's not the easiest thing to do.
Hey. Don't ever bet against Pedro Pascal.
It's kind of like, where's Tommy today? Oh, he's in LA. But
good
luck.
That's if you've ever like if you have friends in Los Angeles and you're like, oh, my buddy lives out there too. Do you know him?
So I also wonder if this might be a thing because this is after Tommy has left the Fireflies, obviously. I wonder, and I'm not getting into game spoilers here. I'm trying to phrase this delicately. I wonder if potentially Tommy moved on from there and went to go one direction, and maybe if it was Tess that was keeping Joel stationary in the Boston quarantine zone. If like maybe she had a part in not wanting to leave, or him wanting to have a stable life there, maybe. Yeah. But I don't know. Joel never really expresses interest in anything besides that.
Right.
So I'm not sure if maybe that was sort of And Tess does seem to have a good relationship with Tommy in this.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but maybe it was Tommy wants to actively leave. Joel's like, I just have this life here now that I want to stay.
Yeah, he's trying to save. He's comfortable enough, and if he is like really has these kind of like substance problems, the idea of being like, I don't want to go out there and not have access to alcohol and pills, like that could be part of it too. Like I want to maintain the structure I have. But I love what you're pointing out too, Jessica, that like, yeah, this little world is falling apart on its own too. The Fireflies aren't getting anywhere. They're kind of stuck in the mud. They're just creating problems. They're hanging people. There's barely enough jobs for people. It's not getting any better. Like the situation is not turning. So yeah, we got to get out of here. We got to find someplace safer, someplace just for us. A little spot in the U.S. where we can settle down and hope that a mushroom doesn't grow out of
in the nicest way possible. It's like the dumbest idea. I'm getting so irritated in all TV. I don't care if it came from a video game that zombies don't exist. The only time zombies like do exist, I think, was in Train to Busan, where they were like, yeah, there are zombies.
I've seen a zombie movie.
Yeah, I've seen a zombie movie.
Yes.
Because I'm like, yeah, you guys will keep leaving to go to another location that's gonna be filled with more zombies.
Right.
So you keep going. You're gonna keep running into them. There's no escape.
And we haven't named them yet. The games have names for the different levels of infected and what they are. They haven't said like, oh, there's a clicker.
These ones are fast as hell.
Yeah,
We don't know what direction they're really going.
We've seen the super fast one, the immediate ones. But yeah, as people are infected as time goes on, their infections can become more severe.
There was also a new poster in the Fedra office when the kid went in that said the number of hours.
Yeah,
that's new.
Where you're
and I
bit,
was like,
or where you're bit. Yeah,
because I remember it said 12 hours or like a day for the leg. And I remember being like, oh, they are really trying to crack down on it.
That was great exposition too.
I love
no one said it. It was just on the wall. It's like, this is good to know. Like, so this way when the show, that's one of the things in zombie things too, right? Someone gets bit and turn immediately. Sometimes they get bit and they hide it for like a day.
Yeah.
It's like, I love this idea that because if it's affecting your brain,
it makes sense.
In theory, it takes it longer to get to your brain the lower
That's
it is.
the plus side for this being a 20-year gap.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with the origin of them trying to figure that out.
Yes.
Figuring out that you have to take it in the head or whatever or what have you. That it sprints, they already know those things. And that is why the games are good.
Yeah.
When Mr. Grandpa got bit, when she walked in on him being bit, and then he was almost immediately infected, I was like, whoa. And then that explained it because it was an upper body infection.
She had the nerve. He was bleeding out. He said, help me. She said, okay. I went, what?
I mean, in real life, if an old man asked you to help him, he's bleeding.
No. Bleeding out in the neck in his house. The door is open. Yeah. There are 2 killers in that room, and you are a 16-year-old girl. Yes. That is insane. Yeah. He lived a good life, probably.
He's whole. Sarah couldn't see it, but as she walked in, you could see the empty wheelchair. And it's like, that's what you know. No.
And the dog didn't want to go. The dog didn't want to go in. Old wheelchair's down. That man's neck has been into it. Actually, no, she stepped on the blood first.
She stepped on the blood first. Girl, don't go in the kitchen.
Note to self, don't hire Jessica for your elderly
you're
care.
On your own. You're on your own.
If you are if I am bleeding out dead, getting cut in the throat, and I'm the only person in my house, the door's open, I will actually say run. I will say leave me because I want you to survive.
Will you do the meme where you go, run,
and I do the music. I have it set on my Alexa.
You're like, hold on, zombie. I gotta get my Spotify.
That is I love zombie movies. I love horror movies. Yeah. My biggest pet peeve, but I love it. I eat that shit up. Keep being stupid in them.
Great. Well, we got more we want to talk about this episode, but first we have got to thank our sponsors today, NordVPN. And one thing we've wanted to do for a long time here on The Break Room is have a movie club. Doesn't that sound fun? Ooh. It's like a book club, only you don't have to read. Reading sucks.
I hate books.
The words, they're so hard. Our friends at NordVPN have now made our dreams come true, and they want to help you be a part of our movie club as well here on The Break Room. How did NordVPN make movie club possible, you ask? Well, with just one click, NordVPN gives you access to films and series that may not be currently available for streaming in your region. NordVPN gives you the ability to switch your location to one of 5,400 plus servers in over 60 different countries. And if you're ever traveling abroad, NordVPN will make sure you won't miss out on your favorite content while you're away. Don't worry about bandwidth throttling when you turn on the NordVPN. It's not going to slow it down. NordVPN gives you the best speed of any VPN service, so your content will be streaming in that crisp, high definition, so clear, so smooth. For our Break Room Movie Club this week, we'll be watching Knives Out and discussing it on this Friday's episode of The Break Room. You're not going to want to miss it. Knives Out is currently not streaming in the US. You can't, it's not streaming anywhere, but it is streaming on Netflix Japan. So we're going to use NordVPN. We're going to watch Knives Out this week, and we're going to talk about it on Friday. And we want all of you to be a part of our movie club. To get in on this action, get NordVPN for yourself, watch Knives Out, and join us on Friday for our movie club discussion. Get your exclusive NordVPN at nordvpn.com/breakroom. You'll get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan, plus a bonus gift. A bonus! This whole thing is completely risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. Risk-free. Again, that's Nord, NORDVPN.com/breakroom. Watch Knives Out. Join us on Friday. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about it. But now we got to get back to some of this Last of Us content, okay? Here's another question I have for you all. How much more pre-pandemic do you think we're going to get? Craig Mason has talked about like they're going to explore more like before the outbreak or as the outbreak was happening. We got a little more in this episode. All that kind of like pre-outbreak stuff was very new. You didn't get that in the game.
The scientist talking at the beginning.
The scientist talking at the beginning was a whole new thing. And also like all the Sarah introduction and Joel and Tommy and stuff, like a lot more there. How much more do you think we're gonna see through like flashbacks on this show?
Oh, so many. I think that exposition of seeing the guard and the light just beaming on him, and he flashing back to his daughter dying,
right?
That's gonna happen a lot.
Oh, like moments are gonna remind him.
It's gonna trigger him, and especially, oh my god. Especially when
it's happening.
I'm hungry. That's what I'm gonna say as a zombie.
Okay.
And I'm gonna sprint quicker than I did as a normal human.
No, does that make me faster?
It does. That lady, she was literally wheelchair bound, and now she literally.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think it's gonna come back in flashbacks of those things. It's gonna trigger moments in him, especially if Joel has a freeze up. Like, he didn't freeze up then, but what if he does?
Yeah.
And Ellie's like, I'm a little girl.
I think that soldier, please correct me if I'm wrong. I know you will. I know y'all will too. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's the first person they have Joel kill, which is not the case in the game. But I think that moment is his first, like, I've killed. But it's like,
other than the old zombie lady.
Other than anyone who's like a non-infected person.
Yeah, which is
Oh,
new.
that would be a
In this one,
big...
he's like, I'm so... Ellie, don't look.
Oh, yeah,
Normally he's just like, all right.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll come back to it too because that guy literally told him, hey, at night we'll get you mistaken, like being a dick, but like it was still like
he was being.
This is my job. This is my job, and you're outside on the fucking perimeter.
But come on, this is the guy that gets you your pills. You can't be.
You also
you gonna lock him up?
You can't be wandering outside.
I mean,
and so that's why he's like, my people are coming there to see me. Let you go. I can't have that happen, bro. I mean, and he's just like, well.
Yeah. I do love this idea though of this being his first like non-infected kill because. Yeah, the game, with any video game, you know, you're going through, you're mowing down people. And in the Last of Us game, you're killing infected, but you're also killing non-infected people who are standing in your way. And it can feel like a little bit, am I a serial killer? What's happening?
Joel is not really supposed to be this super likable dude.
Yeah,
like, he's kind of
an
anti-hero
a
little bit. And I think in this game, they're giving him a lot more redeeming qualities. I think they're trying to make him a little bit more human, softer, a little more vulnerable. And I'm excited for that. Regarding the flashbacks, I think they've already mentioned Riley. Marlene mentioned Riley to Ellie already. So I definitely think we're going to get some of those flashbacks.
Yeah.
And I hope, one of the things I was most excited for was when he said, we're going to see how it plays out outside of America. And I was like, yes, give me all of that. So I hope I am kind of looking forward to the moments we see of, like, I love how they hinted at it when oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Sarah went about her day, how like you would just see little things happening or hear things. I love that.
Yeah, the revelation of Jakarta. We know there's some set photos that look like Indonesia, so they might like delve into the outbreak from the source.
I was stuck on that because I was also like, as soon as the stuff happened at the clock store, I was like, girl, you lived through 9/11. You better hurry up. And then when she's in the car, she's like, do you think it's a terrorist attack?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they're aware of it.
That's great. I mean, like, if you go back, you know, even cinema, any movies and stuff that came out right after 9/11, like, it was like, oh, terrorism is kind of this specter that gets brought up a lot in movies. So it would make sense in 2003 she'd be like, is it terrorist? Like
they were shoving it down our throat that this was early 2000s. And I loved it. I was eating it up. When they brought up Atkins, I was like, whoa. I was like, this
is Atkins.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
And I did love that opening sequence with the interviewers because Anna, you pointed this out in your primer for The Last of Us, that like the game doesn't really tell you off the jump what the infection is, how it spreads, where it started, all that stuff. You kind of have to learn it by reading things in the game or you hear audio tapes and stuff. Starting from the very beginning of this show and telling the audience, like, we can all relate to like a viral infection. Ha ha ha, very funny. We're living through it. It's a nightmare.
No one's laughing.
No one's laughing. And so as an audience, we hear what this guy is saying. We know it's a real problem. We know it's possible to kill a million plus people, millions of people with this kind of thing. It is a threat, but like we're still relatively okay. Society has not collapsed. We're moving forward. To have the other guy then be like, well, there's also fungal infections, and we have no way of stopping it. And it's like, oh, that is scary. And then he's like, the Earth could warm a couple degrees and make it possible. And we're like, oh, that's happening. Oh my God. So it's like right from the jump, they're establishing, here's how it started. Yeah. Here's what it is. Whereas like a show like The Walking Dead, right? That's the big mystery. What is this thing? How did it start? How is it working? We know how it works from the jump. Yeah. And I love that about this show.
They even brought up the ants, the fact that it's a real fungus.
Yes, you pointed that out in your video too. Yeah. So yeah, very frightening, very possible, very scared. I do think we're going to get a lot more pre-pandemic shots. We also saw in the trailer there was the mall. There's like the shot where there's a girl in a mall. That's from like a DLC that was available for the game, and we know that takes place before the events of what we see in Boston in the game. It was like 3 weeks before we catch up with Joel. He's always there. I wouldn't say when Joel got there, but he's always been there.
In our hearts.
But I would love to learn more about like what was it like before the show catches up with them and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to see more. Can't wait to see more. Anna, do you want to go through some of like the changes we saw from the game in this show?
Absolutely.
There's a lot, but like some of the big ones.
My mind was blown. Yes. So many of the shots and dialogue are actually pulled from the game. I did not think there was going to be as much fan service as there was. Like it really blew me away. Not only we had shot for shot things, but we also had like all of the characters except Ellie, which is really interesting, had their initial outfits on. Like their initial shirts, they were all the same. It was
I love that.
So incredible. Greg Mazin has also fleshed out the world, adding some new details and changing things along the way. But can I just start with things that were the same that I really
Yeah, what did you really like?
Actually, no, I will. Okay, well, one thing, oh my God.
You can start wherever you want. This is your part.
I'm so excited. I loved, establishing shots with Sarah's room, right? Mm-hmm. She had a bulletin board that had awards, a little like soccer sticker hidden in the corner. It established they were in Texas with a little Texas sticker in the game. Whether she has ribbons, I know she has a little like plaque soccer award. So she plays soccer. They just hid so many beautiful details.
Really good details.
Shot for shot, that car sequence was incredible.
Yeah.
There was one difference that I noticed that I thought was such a bizarre change, was that when they drive by the burning barn, in the game they say it's Lewis's barn, in the show they say it's Jimmy's barn.
Yeah, they
so
changed
I want
that
backstory.
Name. I don't know.
Why?
I went back and rewatched that gameplay sequence too of the driving because I was like, this looks so familiar. But yeah, I don't know why they changed the name.
Like, sorry, Lewis. I want to know what happened between Lewis and Jimmy.
There must be someone on the production set. That
also,
like, the house is on the other side of the road. I don't know why they did that.
True. The changes that they did make were interesting.
Yeah.
But some of the opening scenes of the opening scene of the show is brand new to the show.
Yeah.
Likely to tell audiences who are so familiar with COVID-19 that this is an entirely different kind of infection. This is not anything COVID. This is completely different. Right. And they really, as we said, explain that out. So the outbreak begins in Jakarta, which is new to the show. In the game, it started, as I said in the primer, it was from a mutated strain of the cordyceps that came in from South America from imported crops. And so while the FDA started to ban crops from certain suspect countries, it still had, by that point, infected like 60% of the population. And some side photos, as you said, suggest that we may see the origins of the outbreak, maybe in Jakarta, maybe some other places during the start of the season. We do spend so much more time with Sarah in these opening minutes. We see her visiting neighbors, going to school, fixing Joel's watch. In the watch store, there's this really cool, like, giant wristwatch kind of clock on the wall where I was just like, damn, I don't want
That was like a popular thing in the 80s, like a big swatch watch on the wall. Go back and watch Saved by the Bell. You'll see it all the time.
Put me back, baby. Put me back. So we see that whole process of her getting the watch fixed, whereas in the game, she basically just says, "Here, Papa, for your birthday." And they also, I don't think that they say in the game that she took that money. I think it implies that she earned it herself somehow, or maybe sold some more stuff. But in the show, she's just straight up like, "Took your money."
I took your money.
Back the change.
Mercy the
Better than
dog. Mercy the dog is spared in this show. In the game, she gets bitten by one of the infected.
They can't show a dog getting
I
eaten.
know. We can show
God
her.
forbid
We
they
can show a
show
12-year-old
cats
girl get
get
shot.
eaten all the time.
Yeah, what a cute dog. Very smart. Very smart, that dog.
Very smart, that
Very
dog.
smart. That dog's running a
It's because
compound somewhere.
It's one of those shepherd dogs. It's one of those
Oh, yeah, it's like
shepherding
a border
dogs.
collie.
Those
Very
dogs are
smart.
smart.
By the way, speaking of like animals and nature and whatnot, one similarity that I really loved was that in Joel's bedroom, hanging above his bed, he has like in the game throughout his entire house, he has these like weird nature, almost looks like it's off like a postage stamp, little photos, art drawings of animals, and they have that same sort of style of moose painting hanging above his bed. I really liked that, man. I really liked it. But regarding Joel, we get a lot more background information on him. This time in regards to his time in the Boston quarantine zone. His relationship with Tess in the games, all you get is a little cheek wiping of the blood. You get an offhanded comment about like, oh, it's kind of like a date, you're romantic, whatever. But it's way more ambiguous in the games. In this one, she gets in that bed and immediately, hey, honey buns.
I thought that was really
Sober up,
interesting.
it's loving time.
Stop.
I haven't had a shower in a long time.
It was so, because I was like, I assume they're together in the games, but I was like, they could also just be like really weirdly platonic. Their relationship could either be me and Tommy's, or it could have been me and like Idris Elba, who's actually in love.
You guys are in love.
No. And so I genuinely was like, when the cuddle scene happened, I went, right off. We know.
I always wonder in like these type of shows, like, and they do this in movies too. I was like, how horned up can you really be in the QZ? Watching 3 people get hanged today, like, can't wait to go home and have some sex. Like, no,
You gotta
I'm
get that.
depressed.
You gotta get that anger out.
You gotta get that anger out.
Get that anger out
as well.
somewhere.
We also learned that we're gonna move quickly along. HR. We also learned that Fedra is hanging people for unauthorized entrances and exits from the QZ,
Very tough.
which
Very
is
tough.
Obey the rules.
They can't risk an infection spreading inside of the QZ. It would wipe them out immediately.
It is,
but
I don't like that it shows like how, I love when movies and shows are like, this is how bad we've gotten as people.
Right.
Like when shit hits the fan, we have to go back to like public execution to put fear into the people's eyes.
They also changed the fact that they were publicly hanging people in this one, whereas in the game, like you see them be at gunpoint, you
like
hear
executed,
about public executions, but this is the straight up
showing.
Honestly, just do the gun. Don't hang them in front of everybody. That's that's not clean.
Another big difference is that in the show, Ellie is straight up chained to a wall and doesn't seem to know Marlene very well when she comes in and talks to her. In the game, she's pretty much traveling with them. She knows Marlene, they're cool. So that was a pretty big difference of, you're getting mandatorily scanned, kind of treated as a prisoner.
Yeah.
And,
I liked it though. I like that change of being like, I'm forced here, but also I know.
Well, it puts Ellie on edge more, right? She's got to constantly be on edge.
Also, that little girl was typecasted. She is great at cursing.
She's good.
She loved doing
Her
it in Game of
attitude is
Thrones.
good.
Kept that from baby to like tween. She is keeping that cursing
It's
out
good.
people.
I like it.
she got the first laugh out of me when she said 3. Like, that's impressive. That's a good line reading. If you can get me to laugh at the word 3 when she's counting up to 10.
When she keeps trying to get her knife back, I mean, it's just like great. And Joel just be like, no. Don't even.
When she stood up and was like, wow, I've been outside nature. I was like, girl,
get down. Get down.
I love her so much.
She's fantastic. I can't wait to see what else she does with it. So also in the show, Tess and Joel are looking for a car battery from Robert, who tries to sell a burn battery to another party. In the game, they're talking about firearms. It's weapons that Robert has sold off when he wasn't supposed to the Fireflies, basically. Tess kills Robert in the game, whereas he's killed in a standoff with the Fireflies in the show. So that's what I was saying earlier about how Joel in the game has a lot more blood on his hands and is a lot more ruthless before he ever gets to killing a guard or whatever. In the game or in the show, they neatly were like, "Oh look, all of these people have already been killed and off screen. Like they don't have any blood on their hands. It's fine." And then the radio cipher is a cool new detail from the show, which I really love. It gave a great little oomph when the Depeche Mode song played in the end.
It was fun.
It was such a clean ending.
Because it starts and you're like, what?
So good for them.
What generation is this song? What generation is it?
I genuinely was like, I want either every episode to start with the conversation between the scientists, and it kind of frames what we're going to be seeing in the episode.
We get a little bit more.
Or I want it to end with a song so we know whether they're in trouble or they're safe or nothing's happening.
We'll have to keep our eyes open for that. I would love every episode to start with a little more.
That would be so
or a little
backstory.
pre-pandemic scene that would inform what the episode's going to be kind of because we talked about the end, the beginning, how the credits had that same branching kind of fungus.
Oh, I
and
love
the
the credit sequence. I love the songs they use throughout the show. It sounds just like the game, the kind of slow guitar stuff.
It's such an HBO.
So many game feeling moments, like the driving in the car, the exploring of the room, the overhead shot of the tanks driving through Boston, like really cool stuff. Every episode of our Last of Us after show here on the break, and we're gonna do a kill count. Okay,
Gotcha.
Lots of kill counts this time. Joel, he gets 2 kills. He gets 2 kills this one. We see him like kill the old lady.
We're counting.
We'll count that one. We'll count that one.
They're gonna be killing a lot of zombies.
And then he kills the soldier.
Are we going to be counting infected this whole time?
Well,
We're doing it this time.
important
This
infected.
time,
Important
okay.
infected. Tommy gets 1 kill under his belt. He kills that soldier. We see that happen.
He does technically. Joel hits 2 people with a car.
Well,
Tommy hits. 2
Tommy's
people.
driving.
Yeah,
Tommy's
yeah.
driving, and they bounce back up
They
too.
survive. Yeah, they
Oh,
survive.
you're
The
right,
neighbor
right
gets
after
killed.
the neighbor.
The neighbor.
By proxy, Tommy kills
We love
2
that.
because the neighbor.
Yeah, we love that off-screen moment of like,
Get back in the house.
Joel, what are you doing?
Yeah, shut up. And then
told you to get
immediately
inside.
gets it.
Tess didn't had 0 kills. She got away from the bombing, didn't kill anybody. Ellie had 0 kills this time. She did have great stabbing. We're gonna give the Fireflies 8. We looked back.
How many did Sarah kill?
Sarah? Yeah. Sarah got killed.
-1.
-1. Oh. The Fireflies got about 8 between the bombing and then kind of them shooting Robert's guys later. Robert's guys took out a couple. It's hard to tell in that hallway sequence. And we didn't put it in the script, but we'll give the airplane 160 kills. I'll say 117 souls on board, 50 in the street. Good job, airplane. You did a great job.
I love
You did a
that.
great job.
That scene was so good.
That airplane was insane.
That was like frightening. Watching those planes coming in first, and then you hear the screams, and they look back, and they're like, plane coming in.
I
and
would
it's
have
like,
died by a plane crashing into me easily. Easily.
Crazy.
Oh my
Can you
God.
imagine being on those flights when those people start?
Honestly, being in LA, I thought the traffic was the scariest part.
How would I get out of here?
We just gotta stay here. We just gotta deal with it. We
we're
gotta
done.
make our time with what we can. You guys, that's it for this episode of The Break Room. We'll be back next week to discuss episode 2, but we also do this show every day live at 3 p.m. talking about all the nerdy news and all the stuff you love. Follow me at Lulu_Clemens. Follow Brandon at Grin and Barrick and Anna at It's Anna Vanston on Twitter. Subscribe to The Break Room wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, thanks for your hard work today, guys. Here's
Oh my
your,
God, my Monopoly money.
here's your ration cards for the day. I really appreciate you being on the show
How
today.
much
Good job.
money can I get for cleaning up poop?
Give me the bag, too, when you're done.
I do
need
it
to
for
lick it.
free. I clean up poop for free.
Jesus, bye.